So good afternoon for everybody. It is a great pleasure for me to be in Japan. I know very much about the country, even though this is my first trip here. So I have never before been here, but I have been reading a lot. And I have some good friends from Japan, and even I'm going to have a family member because my son is going to marry a Japanese girl, so that we will have a kind of Japanese-Finnish family. In this presentation, I am going to talk about Finnish education as a part of the societal process, how we have developed the society we have nowadays in Finland. We call it welfare state or Nordic welfare state model. You probably have heard about that. And in the presentation, I will show how the education has been a crucial part of developing the welfare state model, and also explain a little bit the achievement of the Finnish education, how because in international comparisons we have made relatively well. I try to explain how that has happened. You want to explain something?
失礼いたします。その中でリネン先生、今回日本来るの初めてなんですけれども、昨日私も初めて伺ったんですけども、息子さんと娘さんがいらっしゃって、で息子さんが日本人の方とお付き合いをされているということで、今日の発表っていうのがフィンランドではその教育っていうものがその社会の中でも本当に政治の中でも社会の中でも重要な立ち位置にあって、でそれがどういうふうに今こうフィンランドが教育で成功してるっていうのをどういうふうにそのプロセスっていうのを今回説明してくださるそうです。ちょっと簡単な予約になってしまうんですけれども、こういうさせていただきますので本日よろしくお願いいたします。
Okay, I can start with describing some of the basic information about the international comparison studies which have made during basically during last 35 years. There have been larger international comparison studies, and I start first with them. In the studies about during last 15-20 years from different organizations or different comparison studies. There are PISA studies, there are international educational evaluation studies, and many others. The Finnish students have been among the best achieving students in the world in many fields. In reading, that was the first where we got very good results. Then mathematics, science, foreign languages, particularly learning English, and also general problem solving. But more important than just this average achievement is a little bit more holistic view how the educational system is working in society, how it is supporting the economy, how it is supporting the social life, the functioning on the political system, and so on. And there are some evaluations made during last years looking in a more general terms the functioning of different institutions, including education in society. And the most kind of rich evaluation is made by World Economic Forum, which has also focused on the impact of education within the larger societal frames. And here we have I'm sorry that there are so much information in this picture. It's a bit difficult to see, but there we have. Okay, I can show. The first column here is describing the functioning of institutions, how the institutions in society have organized. What is the quality of the institutions? And there, Finland has ranked as number 1 in the world. And then there is, the second is, I don't pay attention here, I will go to the third one, and it is the health and primary education, because it's the early care of children is very important for the health of the population, and then the primary education is of course very fundamental for the child development. And there Finland is ranked the number first in the world. And then we have the fourth column here is higher education, the university system, and in our case also the kind of universities of applied sciences, which is more professionally oriented. There we are sharing the situation with Singapore. Singapore is the number 1 in the world, and Finland is very close to Singapore in points, and is the best in Europe. So these are not only based on the test achievement of children, but more broadly about the functioning of the institutions in the society.
今見ていただいたんですけど、そのフィンランドの教育の成功っていうのが、そのただの成績がその国際比較の中で成績がいいとかで、そういう子どもたちだけが頑張ってるとかっていうわけではなくて、そのいろいろな背景があって、さっきの棒グラフのところに下に本当にちっちゃくの役をつけさせていただいたんですけど、もう見ていただければ分かると思うんですけど、この国々の中で1番っていうのとヨーロッパの中で1番を取っているのがフィンランドが取っているのがその3項目あって、その公共機関だったりとか健康と初等教育だったりとか高等教育っていうところにそのフィンランドが高いスコアを得ていて、それが教育のそのフィンランドが教育において優秀な成績を収めた要因となっているというふうに。
大事なのは総合的な視野であって、その単発的にこれで1番これで1番っていうような話ではなく、やっぱりそのフィンランドの教育っていうのは社会全体の中でやっぱりその中核として機能している、そういう全体論的なホリスティックなところでやっぱりフィンランドの教育っていうのを見てほしいっていうようなことをおっしゃっていました。
Okay, and from the point of view of the whole society, it is not only important to pay attention to the average achievement of students when we look the functioning of the educational system, but it is also important that how equally the educational system is helping students coming from different social backgrounds, different ethnic backgrounds, different parts of the country. Because as I mentioned in the beginning, the education is a tool for developing the welfare state, the society as a whole. Then it's not enough that we have a few very high achieving students. That it is very important that all the students have access to quality education and can benefit of that. The following table of OECD studies summarize several international comparison studies looking mathematics and reading, and then look how the achievement level is related to the equality of the educational system. And this is again a table which is difficult to read because the numbers are so, the letters are so small, there is so much information. But here we have, this dimension is that we have low achieving here on bottom, and there in the top is high achieving countries. And here is unequal education system, and here is an equal education system. In general, we can see that if a system is more equal, it typically also produces better average results. And here, Finland is located, it is a high achieving country, and it is very, very equal. But then if we look at this picture, we can see that Japan is also very good here in this comparison. I'm glad that I can show this very, very positive findings from Japan as well.
そのスライドにも書いてあったように、そのなんかの子どもたちのその成績の高さっていうのがその教育の平等性に強く結びついているということで、その共同の平等性とその高い成績っていうのがさっきの次のグラフ、大きなグラフで見ていただいてもう一目瞭然だと思うんですけれども、この平等性のある教育制度を持っている国々っていうのが高い成績を収めているっていうふうにあって、でフィンランドはもう見るからにエストニアっていうのもフィンランドの近くの国になるんですけれども、でそれとあと面白いことにその日本っていうのが同じくらい高い成績を収めていて平等性のある教育を持っている国だっていうふうに言われていて、ちょっと面白いですね。
What year? This is, I think, 2012 or so. Yes.
2012年のデータ。
5年ぐらい前です。
はい。
Or even younger, so that I have to check. I didn't remember the book is here.
じゃあまた後ほど調べてからデータの年数は載せさせていただくそうです。
はい、フィンランドの教育っていうのはやっぱりこう平等であること、先ほども私もご紹介しましたけれども、その子どもの地域とか家庭の経済状況とかにかかわらず誰でもが平等な教育を受けられるっていうことが非常にこう重要で、それが一つの教育政策の最も根幹として実現されていると。
Okay, and then a kind of long-term indicator of the equality of educational system is also that how the students who come from families where the parents do not have higher education have access to universities or other higher education institutions later. And because traditionally we know that in many countries students who come from academic families where parents have high education, they have much better chances to get to the higher education than students who come from non-academic families where parents have only very low education. And this OECD statistics, which I show next, describe exactly this phenomenon, how students can have access to university and other higher education institutions from different families. And there we have two cohorts, an older one and a newer one, so that we can see how this phenomenon has developed. And here we see that we have the older cohort are people who were in 2012 to 2015, the statistics from that time, they were 45, 59 years old, who had graduated from universities or other higher education institutions. And then there was the younger cohort, 30 to 44 years old. And here, this figure describes the older cohort, and this figure the younger cohort. And we can see that in general, in many countries, educational system has become more equal, that students who come from families where parents do not have higher education have access to universities. But the biggest development has happened in Singapore and Finland, so that when we look at the older population, both these countries, Finland and Singapore, they still had, they were about the average of countries, or even a bit lower than the average of countries. But then in the younger population, they have very high access to universities for students coming from non-academic families.
そのフィンランドで起こるその大きな教育改革について説明があるんですけれども、やっぱり日本でも言われてると思うんですけど、その高等教育っていうのは主に大学だったり大学院だったりっていうのを指してるんですけど、やっぱりそういった教育を受けていない親の子どもたちっていうのはそういうところに行く機会も多分結構少なくなっていると思うんですけれども、そのフィンランドっていうのが次のグラフで見ると分かると思うんですけど、他の国々がこう、ね、その短いのに対してそのシンガポールとフィンランドっていうのがその教育改革がある前と後でどれだけなんていうんですか、親がそういう教育を受けていなくても子どもたちが高等教育だったりのさらにハイレベルな教育を受けられるようになっているっていうことを示しています。
はい、彼女が言った通りなんですけれども、2つのコホートがあって、教育改革の前のコホート、今60歳ぐらいのグループと、もうちょっと若い40代50代ぐらいの方のコホートとで、そのコホートを見てみると明らかに第二教育改革後のコホートの人たちっていうのは親御さんの家庭の親がどういうレベルの水準の教育を受けているかということに関係なく高等教育を受けている割合というのが非常に高くなっているということです。
This comparison of the two cohorts is particularly interesting in the case of Finland, because we had a very big educational reform in 1970s. And now if you look at the cohorts, the older one, the 45 to 59 years olds, were students from the old system, and then the younger cohort, 30 to 44 years olds, they were students from the reformed educational system. So that this is also partly indicating what was the impact of that educational reform we made. And next I'm going to talk about the reform, but maybe the translation of this first bit.
1970年代にこの後ほどもこれもどういった改革があったかっていうのが説明があると思うんですけど、それっていうのがやっぱりフィンランドのなんか教育だけじゃなくて全体的にも強い影響を与えていて、でそれを今度詳しく説明してくださるということになります。
Okay, and so education is very important for the whole development of the society. And there's a lot of recent research in economy or in the so-called field economy of education, showing that increase of the human capital due to the development of education system is very important factor for the economic development. And next I go to look at this relationship between the education and economy, and not only economy but education and also the societal cohesion, the societal development and education in the Finnish history. I start with this is a long period. I described the last 100-year development in Finland in a very short time. 100 years ago, Finland was one of the poorest countries in Europe. Very, very underdeveloped, poor country. And since that time, there has been a very interesting reciprocal development of the Finnish education and the development of the Nordic welfare state model, which has then made this strong economical development possible. Here you can see statistics about the gross domestic product, which is the typical indicator of the wealth of the country. And you can see that Finland was extremely poor. It was clearly poorer than the other European countries at the end of the 19th century. And in addition to that, in the beginning of 20th century, 1918, we had a very kind of dramatical and violent civil war, which had very deep influence on the society. So that there was a conflict between working class, poor people working in countryside, and then the other part of the society. And after this very dramatic civil war 100 years ago, the country was seriously divided to different social classes, which had almost nothing to do with each other. But however, immediately after the civil war, for some reasons the Finnish parliament managed to create a new educational system, a new educational law, which was the first compulsory education model, so that it was mandatory for all the students to go to the school. And what was crucial for that educational system was that the first school years was common for all students, independently of their background, independently of the level of their skills or achievement or whatever. And there was no separation into private schools or public schools, but it was the unified educational system for all kids for the first school years. So that students coming from the families which a couple of years earlier were fighting against each other in the civil war, now they went to the same classrooms. They were the most rich people of this, students from the most rich families of that area, and then the very poor children sitting in the same classroom.
とそのフィンランドで で重要視されていたのが、そのフィンランドの国民一人一人のその水準を上げていくこと、その人的資本ヒューマンキャピタルっていうふうにそのまま入れさせていただいたんですけど、それを上げていくことっていうのがその経済の発展において一番重要なポイントなのではないかということで、そのフィンランドっていうのがちょっと歴史的な背景を説明させていただくと、もともとスウェーデンの支配下にあった国でありまして、でもいろいろフランスのナポレオンとかが来て、でロシアに侵入されたりいろいろしたりして、でフィンランドやっと独立できた国で、だからその次のあれですね、グラフにもここにスウェーデンっていうのが書いてあるのが、多分それが比較対象みたいな感じになっているのではないかなと思っていて、でその独立した後もずっとその内戦っていうのが続いていて、そこからその社会的な階級にいろいろ分けられてしまったんですけれども、でこの後にでもその政府がその義務教育を確立することが大事だっていうふうになって、いろいろな階級があったとしてもどの階級の子どもたちも同じ学校に通うことによって、でそれがそのフィンランド人の国民意識を敷居を高めていて、それが最終的にそのこれから発展していく長い発展のその出発点となったのではないかというふうに考えられています。
彼女の訳完璧だと思うんですけれど、やっぱりそのポイントは非常に経済的にも厳しいで、内戦で国民が分断されていたわけですよね。さまざまな利害関係があるグループが、でその分断されていたそういうさまざまな階層を一つにするのがもう教育だというふうにその当時の政府が思って、それで半ば本当に強制的にもう全ての階級の人が同じ学校に行くように、そういうチョイスをしたっていうこと、その当時のそのチョイスっていうのが今のフィンランドの教育につながっているっていうことだと思います。ちょっと付け足しです。
Okay, and then if we look what happened then. After this compulsory school model, then there was gradual extension also of the secondary education, so that a couple of decades later on, the general secondary education leading to universities was developed and extended, and also strong vocational training was developed for on the secondary level. And this was related to a very fast development in Finnish society, what happened after the World War II, which means that in a very short time, in a couple of decades, Finland moved from a completely agricultural country to an industrialized country. And this was the fastest change from agriculture to industry in whole Europe.
書いてある通りなんですけども、このグラフで急激な変化があるところだったりっていうのが向こうに書いてある説明のままで、その義務教育だったりっていうのが追加されたところからもうどんどん上がっていって、そのヨーロッパの中でも特に農業からその伝統産業への急速な発展っていうのがさらに発展へと導いていて、最終的に最初あんなにすごく貧困の国と言われていたフィンランドだったんですけども、最終的にはスウェーデンだったりとか他のヨーロッパの国々と同じところまで到達したとなります。
Okay, and then this very more recent development can be seen in this figure. In 1970s, we carried out a big educational reform when we developed basically the same model we have still today. Of course, it has been developed later on, the details, but I explained that later on. And then we also had a very strong extension on the higher education. And together these two changes in the education were partly enabling or facilitating something which then happened in Finland, which at that time was still a traditional industrial country, but then in a very short time it became a high-tech economy, and also the domestic, the gross domestic product increased dramatically due to this economical development. And in many analyses, it has been clear that it is exactly these changes in the education which made this development possible.
これも本当にグラフのここに書いてある、もう全部説明したことくださったことが書いてあるんですけれども、そのやっぱり1970年代のその教育の基盤から比較していったあった後もどんどん成長し続けているものの詳細みたいな感じになっていて、高等大学だったりの高等教育が短い間にこの拡張していったことによって、この短い間でこう上がっていって、その後にハイテク経済の急速な発展だったりっていうのもあって、この1970年代の教育改革から現在までもこう伸びていっているという形になっています。
一言で言えば、現在のそのフィンランドの経済的な優位性っていうのは、その1970年代の教育改革、教育によって作られたものであると。決してその産業界がリードしてっていうよりも、教育が作ったこの経済であるというようなことを。
Okay, and now I try to explain some of the features of the education system which we believe has been successful. However, I start with by describing features which are not typically considered as a features of a high-level educational system. Typically, if you look countries which try to get very high level achievement, they put their children very early in the formal education. For example, in Europe, there are countries which put their children to the school when they are 4 years old, which start already a formal education, and 5 years is very typical in the world. But in Finland, children go to the school only when they are 7 years old. And before that, they have kind of pre-education, but this is not formal. This is not the kind of curriculum-based formal education. It's very, very free. The other feature which is typical for Finland is that there are very short school days and not heavy achievement pressure. So that our children are not sitting in the school from early morning until the late evening, but they are relatively short school days and not too many homeworks. So that they have also time to do many other things than not only school. Go to the schools. They have their hobbies, they have their social life, they meet friends and so on. And then there's one S missing. No high stakes testing. We don't have this kind of testing system which many organizations and consultants typically recommend for countries, that they have to have a strict testing system, and based on the testing give funding or punishments for schools or teachers. We don't have that, and all these have been results of a conscious policy. But these are also very challenging principles. I come back to this later on. But is it money then which explains the success? So do we put so much money into education that it explains it? Okay, let's compare how much money different countries put to education. And here we have statistics again. You don't have to pay attention to the different kind of details of the funding, because it's just the height of this general bar which is important here. It is basically the total funding put to the education which is related to population. And if you look the countries which are there in the top, for example, Luxembourg is clearly the country which is putting very much money in the funding. And if you happen to have the slides where we have this comparison with the quality of education and equality of education, Luxembourg was there in the middle of that. So that money doesn't seem to explain very much. Finland is there in the middle. It's practically close to the OECD average. In fact, Japan is exactly on the same level than in Finland. And Japan is also a very high achieving educational system. So it seems that money is not the explanation.
じゃあ説明させていただくと、そのフィンランド一番最初のあれですね、学校のところですね。で学校一応フィンランドにもプリスクールって呼ばれる就学前教育だったりっていうのはあるんですけど、それを除くとその教育が始まるのが7歳になった時で比較的遅い。フィンランドのあとその学年っていうのが年ごとに生まれた年によって決まっていて、私1998年生まれの3月で早生まれなんですけど、なんか1998年生まれの1月から1月1日から12月31日までの人が同じ学年になるので、みんなもう7歳になってから絶対に始まる、6歳から始まるとかっていうのはなくて、7歳になったら始まるふうになってます。で学校での1日は本当に短くて、私が以前フィンランドに留学させていただいてたんですけれども、その小学生のホストブラザーも学校行くのを本当に普通にみんなと同じような感じで行くんですけど、帰ってくるのもめちゃくちゃ早い、とても早くて、で早いんですけども、みんな部活っていうのは学校にはないんですけれども、帰ってきた後にそれさっき先生おっしゃったんですけど、友達と遊んだりとか、その地元のサッカーのクラブチームに所属したりだったりとかって、でそれは大人の方も結構やってらっしゃって、でその学校で勉強する、仕事で働く、でもその後に自分の好きなことをできる時間っていうのがもう本当にたっぷりあるので、なんかそれも結構そのなんて教育とはそのね、どれだけ勉強してるかっていうのとは関係なくて、で宿題も少ないので本当に一日自分の好きなことができます。でテストだったりとかに結果によってその政府からこの罰を与えられたりっていうこともないので、なんていうんですか、それも結構面白いところなんっていうふうに説明があって、で次のグラフでもそれがその財政的な問題なのかっていう意味でじゃあ見てみようってなったんですけど、ルクセンブルクがすごくとってもお金をかけてると思うんですけど、最初の方に皆さんご覧になっていたグラフでこの何ですか、その平等な教育っていうのと高い、成績が高いっていう、はい、すいません。でルクセンブルクがそこにあるんですよ。だからいっぱいお金をかけているからといってすごいいい成績を収めているかどうかって言われたらそれは違いますねっていうのがさっきの先生の説明にあって、でじゃあフィンランドがどれくらいお金をかけているのかなって見た時に見たらなんと日本と同じくらいの金額をかけているということが分かっています。でもこれから今の一連の説明から分かるように、そのどれだけお金をかけているかっていうのが直接的にその成績に関係しているわけではないのではないかっていうのが先生の説明です。
Okay, and then if you look, so how Finnish students have made in international comparisons. This success is relatively recent. It only started in early 90s, and then in 2000 it was on the high level. And what explains this development? What happened after 1980.
すいません、このスライド入ってないんですけど、
Yes, you don't have that in these slides because I changed a little bit the slides. There will be also some other changes. I'm sorry about that.
同じスライドが後ほどに 3枚連続で出てくるので、それの一番最初とほとんど同じスライドになるので、そちら参考にしていただければと思います。
Okay. And very important for the current situation and the situation we have had during the last decades is the big comprehensive school reform which took place in the 1970s. And what was typical for this process was that there was relatively large political agreement of the general aims of the system. It was discussed very long time, maybe 20 years in the Finnish parliament, that we have to do something like that, and then there was an agreement about that. And what the political level made, they only decided about the general aims and about the basic structure. And then there was a very careful experimental phase, these pedagogical approaches were experimented, and also the curriculum was, there were many versions of the first curriculum. It was tested in a few schools first, then in a little bit more schools, and very carefully tested before it was applied for the whole education system. There were very clear aims which were taken seriously, and it was written in that way that the system had to take that seriously. And the clear aim was attempt to combine equality and quality. So that was dominating this reform very, very strongly, this combination. And there was the political level decision about the structure, 9 years comprehensive school for all children. It consists of 6-year primary and 3 years lower secondary level. So that the structure is not very different from the structure in Japan, I understood. And then what's happened? So that this system was established in 1970s, and then a gradual development, a kind of evidence-informed or evidence-based development started without no sudden political changes. This is important because when we compare, for example, our neighbors in Europe, they have made similar decisions, but then after 4 years or 8 years, they have dramatically changed the system again because a new government came into power, and again after 4 or 8 years they have made dramatical changes. And this has destroyed the opportunity for gradual evidence-based development.
書いてあることはあんまり繰り返したくないんですけれど、やっぱりすごく70年代にしっかりと教育改革をしたと。で、その時のフィロソフィーっていうのがすごく大事で、やっぱり平等であることっていうことと、でただ全部にみんなに平等っていうだけではなくて、平等であって平等に高いクオリティを保障するっていう、その高いクオリティっていうところにも非常に大事な目標を置いたっていうところで、それが何よりも大事だっていうところですよね。で、そこをしっかりと見定めて、で、そこから骨組みを決めたら、あとはもう覚悟を決めてずっとそれを続けるということで、やっぱりフィンランドの教育がすごく成功したことって、それを決めたことを一気に全部改革するんではなくて、大きな骨組みを決めたらそれに向かって少しずつ こうゆっくりと前進していく。でその時にやっぱりこう急激に途中で変えたりしないっていうことで、先生がおっしゃってたのはヨーロッパの多くの国で見られるのはやっぱりこう政権が変わるとすぐに変わってしまうと。で、その政権によってせっかくその政権で、前の政権でやっていたエデュケーショナルポリシーみたいなのがこう覆されてしまって、でまたこう振り出しに戻ってしまうみたいなことがずっとこう他の国ではあったけれども、フィンランドはこの70年代に決めたことっていうのが、ずっと政権が変わっても何でもずっとそのままこう、全く変えないっていうことではないんだと思うんですけれども、この骨格、大きなストラクチャーを変えることなく政権にかかわらずこう緩やかにこう前進しているっていう、そこがやっぱり成功の秘訣なんではない、秘訣なんではないかっていうのを通して。
So, as I mentioned, very important has been this gradual development of the system during the following decades after the basic model was created. And because there was this main aim to combine equality and quality, but it was clearly made, or they tried to complete this aim in two phases. And the first phase clearly focused on building a system of which support equality, and only afterwards the quality elements became more important in the system of education. And if you look what was made for improving the equality of the educational system, the first step was implementation of a unified curriculum without any ability-based tracking system. In the very first years there was a kind of transition period when there was a ability-based tracking system, but very soon we moved to a model where there was a joint aims for everybody. Of course, there are some children with special needs who have then different aids, but this is a very small part. But basically, there was the same aims for everybody. And then, what was also very important in the very early years, there was internationally well-known idea of mastery learning. Finnish researchers were thinking very carefully that what could that mean in our model, how we could apply some of the ideas to develop a kind of a pedagogical model for the whole educational system. And this model was developed, a kind of flexible allocation of teacher support and time according to the individual needs, which can be described with this very simplified figure that there are joint kind of core goals for everybody. So that the core curriculum was defined in that way that this is the level which practically every children should reach. And then the pedagogical strategies were developed so that according to the kind of background, so that they were, of course, some students were much faster learners, they had a strong background from their families, and then some others, very little prior knowledge, very badly developed study skills and so on. And then the teacher support was systematically allocated to students according to the individual needs. And this model was implemented very systematically during the period when we started to develop these new educational models in late 1970s, 1980s. And of course, nobody believed that everybody could reach exactly the same aim, and that was not the idea, of course. But the idea is that they come, that even the weakest students come very close to the joint goals, then fast students can go further on whatever level. That's not the problem. But what's important that at the end the differences between students are not bigger than they were in the beginning, but small.
説明させていただきますのでこのその教育に関して2つの重要なステップがあってでその最初にまずその能力にさっきは階級なしに言ったんですけどこの能力に関係なしに全員に統一されたカリキュラムがあってでもその中でも先生教員によってなんていうんですかその時間割だったりとかっていうのを自由に配分ができてでそれもう本当に教員によって全然違う学習を子どもたちはしています。でやっぱりグラフの通りにやっぱりある程度ここまで到達してほしいっていう目標はあるんですけれどもそれに合ったそこに到達できるようにその先生たちがやって指導していくんですけれどもその中でも全員がやっぱり同じっていうのはそれも難しいですしそれが望ましいと一概にも言えないのでその子どもたちの最初に見合ったレベルに合ったその成長の仕方をさせています。で私がちょっとこれ関係ないかもしれないんですけどここで説明できたらなと思ったのが私がすごいフィンランドに行って思ったのが意外にも教育が平等じゃないじゃんって思ったのがその高校に行く時にその中学の成績によって好きな高校に行けるんですけれども私の行っていたそのクオピオっていう高校にはその 3つか4つくらいの高校があってでやっぱりその芸術を勉強しつつ勉強したいことっていういろんな学校があるんですけどその中でもやっぱりその高校のレベルっていうのはあって成績が9以上じゃないと入れない高校だったりとかっていうのもあってでそういうところがこの子どもたちの最初の学習の到達レベルに見合ったその目標なんじゃないかなっていうふうに少しだと思いました。
どんどん付け加えることないんですけれどやっぱりすごく大事なことって最初から結構アメリカとか多くの国でやっぱり能力別にするっていうのはごく普通にされていることなんですけれど、特に算数なんかは能力クラスにするっていうのは非常に普通のことなんですけれど、フィンランドはあえてそういうことをしないでいるというところであとちょっと先生おっしゃってましたけど本当に一人の先生の裁量にものすごい多くのことが任されていてだから教科の1時間目に何をやって2時間目に何をやってとかっていうのもあんまりなくて教えるべきことをもう教科横断的に一人の先生がもう全部決めていいみたいな、そういうようなことをしているっていうのがフィンランドの特徴かなというふうに思います。後から出てくるんですけどそれだけフィンランドでは先生のクオリティっていうものにもものすごく厳しいものを要求しています。
Then there was also some practical solutions. For example, money was very much used in the beginning for guarantee that the class size is not too big because if we think the pedagogical model where there are students who have relatively large achievement levels in the same group and the students have to allocate the support for them individually, it is not possible if the class size is too big. So that was a very systematic policy to reduce the class size. And then also the effective special education system was developed already in late 70s, early 80s with a flexible model so that there was part-time support within the whole classroom, then part-time support outside the own classroom in small group, and then for some students then a little bit longer full-time special education, and if possible, then they returned to the regular classroom after this kind of special education year, for example.
スライドがちょっと翻訳が少しずれてるんですけど、ここだけ見て、翻訳に関してはここだけ見ていただければいいので、ここはさっきと同じ繰り返しになってしまって申し訳ないです。で、やっぱりその小さな小規模のクラスでやっていて、でやっぱりそのクラスが大体20人、小学校だと20人くらいだったりします。でやっぱりその中でも数学と英語だったりっていうのは特にまた小さなクラスに分けられているという、私が初めてフィンランドの小学校に行った時に驚いたのがそのポイントであって、そういうそれで先ほど今井先生もおっしゃってたんですけど、フィンランドっていうのは一人の先生がいかにして授業をするかっていうのがその子どもたちがかかっているので、やっぱりこれからの先生の説明だったりっていうのもあるので、ぜひ聞いていただけたらと思います。
Okay, and then in 1990s, when this equal model was already working relatively well, the focus moved to improving the quality, and this was very much based. Many of these ideas were very much based on the findings of educational psychology, cognitive science, cognitive psychology, and these models were developed. The ideas were developed in supporting the quality. It was the first idea was that in order to improve the quality of teachers' work, it is important that teachers and the local communities, they have gradually get bigger autonomy, so that they can decide themselves how they teach, how they organize learning environments and so on. And this was also related to the trust-based model. I already mentioned that in the Finnish model there was not high-stakes testing, but we developed a model of sample-based testing, so that we very frequently studied, made some kind of in-depth studies of the learning outcomes, also students' motivation, learning strategies, learning to learn skills, and all. And this information was given for schools, so that the schools were not controlled by the testing, but there were sample tests which gave a very detailed information what is happening in the educational system. In some cases, the teachers also had the opportunity to compare the results of their own students with these national averages and national distributions of skills. And then we had the model of research-based development of the quality of teaching learning processes, so that the relationship between universities, research institutions, and schools is very close, so that there's all the time hundreds of small and a little bit bigger scale research projects going on in Finnish schools. And then in the early 90s, we organized very systematically a very intensive discussion about the conception of knowledge, conceptions of learning in schools, and there was a clear attempt to move towards so-called deep learning approaches, which emphasized deeper understand that the teachers have to understand deeper what kind of learning process is going on in students.
すみません、この和訳の方のスライドにその1990年代っていうのを足していただけたら多分完璧なんじゃないかなって思うんですけども、もう本当に書いてある通りなのでやっぱり繰り返しは説明しないんですけど、この2つ目のところにおいて私が経験からすると大学入学のための学力試験 っていうのはそのフィンランドで一つだけその共通してやる試験があるんです。全国民で共通する試験があって、それっていうのがその高校を卒業するときに受けるテストで、その高校卒業資格のためのテストがあって、でそれに合格するとやっと大学入学をするための試験が受けられるっていう受ける権利をもらえるっていうのがあって、それだけが唯一その全国統一テストみたいな感じであるんですけれども、それ以外には本当に何にも学力テストはないっていうのがここでポイントになるかなと思います。
Some of the main topics were, for example, focus on learning skills, learning strategies, so-called metacognitive skills, and then the development of novel learning environments. It was not only the kind of traditional teaching model, but more varying learning environments, use of educational technology, and also more detailed focus on motivation and students' welfare, which was developed. Okay, yes, because then I go to the details. Yes.
ままで大丈夫かなと思います。で、その質に焦点を置いたっていう本当にここに書いてある通り。
そうなんですけれど、一般的に今先生おっしゃってたラーニングスキルとかラーニングストラテジーとか、そこを一番大事なものとしているっていうことですよね。だからコンテンツだけではなくて、やっぱりいかに学ぶかっていうその学び方、あるいはそのモチベーションですよね。やっぱりそのモチベーションを上げなさいって子供に言ったからモチベーション上がらないので、やっぱりどうやってそのモチベーションを上げていきつつ、基本的に、私の本でも書かせていただいたんですけど、学びっていうのは入れるものではなくて自分で子供が発見していくものなので、そこを一番重視している、それがフィンランドではもうなんていうか、もう教室、全ての教室で全ての学校で、そういうこと、その認識が共有されていて実践されているということ。
Okay. So, of course, this all means that there were huge challenges for teachers. If you think about the principles which were implemented, and so that how to go with the diversity in the classrooms when it was not anymore possible to put the high achievers in one classroom and low achievers in another classroom, where all the students were in the same classrooms, and we had relatively high joint aims for everybody. And how to increase then the quality of learning after the equality was supported, and then how to modernize the content and methods of traditional education. So all these challenges were kind of very ambitious for teachers, and the solution for that was then a teacher education reform which started at the end of 1970s and was completed in 1980s. And the first step was that all teacher education moved to universities. Before that we had separate teacher education colleges, and then some teachers were taught in universities, some in the colleges, but now all teachers were from kind of early education until high school teachers were educated in universities. And the second step was to hire the requirements for teachers. Earlier we had much lower requirements for primary school teachers, and then the lower secondary teachers had a bachelor requirement, and the high school teachers had a master degree requirement. Now all teachers, primary, lower secondary, and high school teachers had to complete the full master degree before they became qualified teachers. the kindergarten teachers still have a bachelor degree as a requirement for qualification, even though quite many of them also study further and make their master degree later on, but still the requirement is not. And then the basic idea was to change very much the idea of teacher profession. Because earlier, and in many countries, teachers are not considered as full professionals, kind of independent experts, but kind of semi-professionals. But we really tried to develop a system where teachers are considered as full professionals, high-level experts, and then, of course, the requirement of master degree was one step of that. Then we tried to develop a very close relationship between teacher profession and the scientific cultures. The high autonomy I mentioned is one part of that. And we made very much effort to develop the kind of professional status and the kind of mindset and attitude as responsible experts. And the consequence of that is that after this several decades development, teacher profession, particularly primary school teacher profession, is one of the most attractive profession among young Finnish people. And we have a very strict kind of so-called numerus clausus system that you have to pass entrance examinations, and the level of our primary school teacher students when they enter to university is about on the same level as medical students, so that they have to have as high marks from high school in order to get in to primary school education. And now when we have studied the young professionals, the kind of professional identities, it was funny to see that there's a kind of visual representation of different aspects of the professional identity. There were two professions which had almost the same professional identity profiles. They were medical doctors and primary school teachers.
教員がどれだけすごいかっていうのがもう多分もう分かったと思うんですけれども、以前はその大学の卒業資格があればその教員になれ、日本と同じような感じだったんですけど、で今は幼稚園を除くその全ての教育段階においてその3年間の大学と2年間の修士の大学院のその大学卒業資格が必要になっていて、でそのやっぱりさっきも申し上げたんですけど、その大学に入るのにも高校のその統一テストを受けた後にさらにその高校でどれだけそのいい成績を取ったかっていうのだったりとかも重要になっていたりとかしていて、もう本当にその先生っていうのがもう日本とはもう比べ物にならないくらいすごいステータスのある職で、もう私もフィンランドに初めて行った時に今度来る人は算数の先生だった人なんだよとか、本当にすごいからもうちゃんとリスペクトしてねって言われて、でそんな先生にリスペクトしなきゃいけないんだって思うくらい、でもやっぱりお医者さんと同じくらいっていうふうに考えたら多分皆さんもとっても分かりやすいと思うんですけど、それくらいその尊敬されるべき対象になっているので、だからそのフィンランドの小中高大の全てにおいてその先生っていうのが立場がとても確立されているので、もう誰一人そのなんかうめき声を上げたりとか、もう寝てる生徒はもう一人も私は見たことがないです。
フィンランドでやっぱり先生が非常に高いステータスを得ることができるってやっぱり非常に専門的な教育を受けているからっていうのもあると思うんですね。最初に先生がおっしゃっていたように、今どんどんやっぱりフィンランドも グローバリズムの影響が非常にあって、クラスが多様になってるんですね。やっぱりすごく移民の方も多くなってるし、でその多様になっている中でいかにそのハイクオリティのそのエデュケーション教育を担保するかっていうのは前よりもどんどん難しくなっていると思うんですけれども、それに合わせてやはりますますこうプロフェッショナリズムに、磨きをかけているっていうのが現状じゃないかなと思います。I have a question. How are the how do you do the screening for? So I heard that getting into the Department of Education to be a teacher, school teacher, would be very competitive, right? So not everybody who wants to cannot be allowed or admitted, right? How is the screening?
Yes, screening. In the screening, we have two-step procedure. First, we have a national examination, so that we publish some material 1 month. 1 month before the examination, and there are typically scientific articles describing education, and then the students, those applicants, they have to read them, and then there is a test how well they have understood these articles, and then after the first selection, the second selection is that those who have passed the first selection, they go to the test where we have interviews and small group situations where we observe the social skills, the kind of education, the approach to when they organize situations and so on. So that this is a quite careful selection procedure.
Right. When are they selected? When they enter the school at a university, or after that? After do you?
No. This is for primary school teachers. This is the entrance examination. This two-step thing. And for secondary school students, because they are first students in the different faculties and departments, mathematics, history, English, and so on. And then when they want to get teacher education, then they apply to the Faculty of Education. And then there we have the feasibility kind of and this kind of personality and social skill tests for them. So that there are two different models for.
その非常に先生に教員になるっていうのが狭き門で非常にコンペティティブだということで、どういうふうにしてその選抜が行われるのかっていうことをお聞きしたんですけれども、まず2段階あって、でその小学校の先生とそれ以上の高等教育の先生でまた違うんですけれど、小学校の先生に関しては、大学出た時にその教育学部に入るかどうかっていうところで非常に教育学部に入るの難しいっていうことなんですけれど、そのスクリーニングとして2段階あって、まず国が教育に関する論文ですよね、論文集をそのアプリカントに応募したい人たちに渡して、で1ヶ月それをその応募者は1ヶ月それを熟読し、でその上でどのくらいその論文が理解できたかっていうことを、精査されるというか、そういうテストが行われると。で2段階目はその後でインタビューなんかがあって、その1段階目を通過した人に対してインタビューなどがあって、でその例えばどのくらい、その教育に対する方針とか考え方とかフィロソフィーとか、あと社会性ですね、それと教師への適性とか、そういうその人柄も含めて見ていくっていうのが2段階目だそうです。で、その中学校以上のその専門知識が必要な高等教育に関してのスクリーニングは、まず最初にそれぞれの 専門で、各学部はですねそれぞれの専門の学位を取らなくちゃいけないそうなんです。例えば数学の先生になりたければ数学科で数学の勉強をしなくてはいけないと。でそういうような、勉強をしてそれで大学院に進む時にその先生になりたいということでしたら先ほどの2番目の2番目のやっぱりその教育に対する指針方針考え方、それから社会性っていうような、そういうものをインタビューで確かめるっていうことで、そういうふうにして選抜が行われるそうです。で、10% 以下だそうです。全員の応募する人の 10% 以下しか採用されない、採用というか採用までも至らないわけですよね。要するに大学にその入学許可が出るのが 10% 以下だそうです。大学にっていうか教育学部にですね。はい。
So I have here the term adaptive academic profession. In fact, we use as a keyword for developing the teacher education nowadays the term we have learned from Japan, from very, very good Japanese colleagues who are passed a couple of years ago, Hatano, who developed the concept of adaptive expertise that is used in our work. Okay, so if we look quickly how the teacher education is related to this development, I did so already earlier. So here we had the reform of the teacher education model, and here the majority of new teachers had completed the new teacher education model. Of course, there is no causal relationship, so that it's not clearly the explanation for that, but you can clearly see that they are related to each other.
ここに書いてある通りなんですけど、さっきも最初の方にその追加のスライドであったんですけど、この急激な1970年代後のその急激な変化のなんていう急激な変化の要因っていうのがその新しいその教員養成プログラムによって導かれたものだというふうに言われています。
So, Professor Imai asked me to add a few words about the Finnish model, how students learn English, and this is of course a very good functioning example of the functioning of Finnish educational system. So this is a very recent international comparison of English proficiency among young people in the world, and it has been divided in 5 different groups. The big number of countries, all of them presented in this figure, but there is a big number of countries covering most of the world, and here Finland is this very high proficiency group. And this is interesting because if we look at the European languages, we have there a big group which is called Indo-European languages, and they have the same background. They have developed from the same origin, the Indo-European languages. And then within the Indo-European languages we have a smaller group, Germanic languages, which are very close to each other. There is English, Dutch, which is spoken in the Netherlands, German, Danish, Swedish, Norwegian, and some other languages which are very close to each other. But then Finnish language doesn't belong to the Indo-European language. It has nothing to do with that. There's only a few other languages which are close to Finnish, but it's very far away from English. So the structurally and also the words are very different, the pronunciation is very different, everything in the language is very different from English. So even the way of thinking we use when we express sentences is different in English. And then, if you look this group of the high achieving countries, there are two groups. There are the countries where the languages is the Indo-European and Germanic language, so that the all languages are close to English. And then there are two other countries which are former British colonies, where English is still one of the official languages. So it's a bit surprised that how Finland, with this language background, can belong to that group. Okay, very quickly, so there are in two. Yes. Okay. Yes.
もうその2017年の英語の学力調査でもうレベルごとに分けられて、今今井先生とも日本どこなんだろうねって日本こうローに所属しています。でその一番高いところっていうのがその8カ国あるんですけれども、でその次にどういった言語と関連しているかっていうので、でも
その最初の8カ国語で8カ国で私ヨーロッパのいろいろな国いろんな機会に行くんですけれど、一番どういうレベルの人でも普通に英語が話せるっていうのはフィンランドです。フィンランドしかなかったです。そのドイツもオランダとかもそうですね、サウスアフリカとか行ったことないですけどなんていうかな、もちろんハイエデュケーションを受けてる方は英語上手なんですけど、例えばこうバスの運転手さんとか電車の社長さんとかにいろいろ聞きたいような時に英語で話しかけても答えてもらえないこと多いんですけれど、フィンランドは全く問題ありませんでした。だからそういう意味で本当にもう小学校からやってるそうなんですけど、そのレベルでも本当に定着しているっていうところがすごいなと思いました。で、
続きをさせて。でそのゲルマン語の中にその英語っていうのが所属してるんですけど、そこを見てみるとドイツ語だったりとかオランダで話されてるオランダ語だったりとか、あとスウェーデン語だったりっていうのも入ってるんですけど、この大きなところはインドヨーロッパ語っていうふうにジャンル分けされてるんですけど、でフィンランド語はどこに所属するかっていうところの黄色いところですね、フィンボル語っていうところに所属しています。でここにハンガリー語とかあるんですけど、フィンランド語は一番近い言語は先ほど先生とお話ししてた時にエストニア語だねみたいな話をしてたんですけど、ハンガリー語もそういった感じの言語になるんです。文法的には結構似てるのかもしれないねって言われてる言語で、だからなんでその次のページでいっぱいあったと思うんですけど、これを見てみると、シンガポールと南アフリカっていうのはイギリスの旧植民地であったから、英語が結構話せる人が多いかもしれないんですけど、その他のヨーロッパのところを見てみると、ノルウェーだったりデンマークだったりスウェーデン、他の北欧の諸国とかオランダっていうのは、そうですね、このゲルマン民族でゲルマン語に所属している国なので、どうしてフィンランドがこんなにも英語ができる、関係ないのにフィンランド語ができるんだろうっていうのがポイントになっています。はい。
Okay, and basically I think we need two explanations. One is kind of general cultural explanation, and the second is related to education. So Finland is a small country and completely depending on foreign trade and cultural collaboration. A country with 5.5 million inhabitants, it means that we are completely depending. Then we are, of course, it means that we are a small language area, and we have, in general, very positive attitudes toward learning, widely used foreign languages, particularly English. And then when our children are looking TV, and of course they also look the British or American programs, the spoken language is the original one, and then there are subtitles. They are not. We do not use the dubbing system, which bigger language areas typically use, so that our children simultaneously can listen to English spoken language and read Finnish, so that it's beneficial for reading learning and also understanding foreign languages. And then computer games, even those which have been developed in Finland, are typically in English because they are for bigger markets. And students use so that the English language is present in children's everyday life. It's so natural for them. So that this is nothing strange. The English language, it's natural that they use it. And in education, so all young students study at least one foreign language, and it is mostly English. There are some students who start studying as a mother foreign language, for German first, but then later on English. Then we have a substantial share of teaching hours allocated to language learning. It's a little bit more, so that during the first 9 school years, we use a little bit more teaching hours for languages than for mathematics and science topics together. And this is, when we compare internationally, it's relatively high amount of time. But I think that the most important in the schools is that since 1970s, we have started to develop this pedagogical approach. Particularly in 1980s, 1990s, we have this very strong discussion about the way how foreign languages have to be taught. There was a lot of studies about so-called communicative and dialogical approaches for teaching, and what we have at the moment is a kind of teaching pedagogical model which emphasizes the communicative and dialogical teaching, but try to balance that also with the formal aspects of language proficiency.
ここはちょっとさらっと書いてあることをさらっと書いてあることを読んでいただけたらいいなと思うんですけど、やっぱりそのフィンランドでもその1970年代のその教育改革よりも前に教育を受けていた方っていうのが、フィングリッシュっていうのがなんかっていう英語を話す。例えばなんか I think so too だったらなんか I think so too みたいな感じで言っちゃうような英語を話していたんですけども、この教育改革とともにその英語だったりとか他の言語の改革もされるようになって今に至っているという感じになりますので、詳細はもう読んでいただけたらなと思います。はい、
今先生おっしゃってた中で、私個人的にすごく大事だなと思ったのは、やっぱり数学算数よりも言語の教育にもっと時間を割くっていうことなんですね。だからやっぱりすごく言語っていうものを大事にしているんだなっていうことで、だけれどもそのコミュニケーション、よく日本だとコミュニケーションって言って、小学校とかだと本当に話すことばっかりじゃないですか。でもそうではなくて、やっぱりそのコミュニケーション中心主義に偏らないようにいこうっていうのは初めてしばらくしてやっぱり改革していったっていうことなんですけれど、やっぱりそのフォーマルな形式っていうか、文法とかやっぱりその言葉の使い方とかそういうところもしっかりやろうっていうことで、普通になんか挨拶できればいいよねとかゲームができればいいよねっていうような、そんなお手軽イングリッシュの授業ではないっていう感じだと思います。I have one question about Swedish, right? So Swedish is your language, second language, right? And a lot of people, maybe not, but some portion of the people, for them, Swedish is the first language, right?
Yes, so that historically we have 2 official languages, Finnish and Swedish, and this is nowadays, I think, about 4% of population who speak Swedish as a mother tongue. And this is particularly the southern part and very western and southern part of the country. But there in the middle of the country, there is practically no Swedish-speaking population.
Is Swedish taught in school?
Yes, if you finish a university degree, you have to make also we typically study Swedish at the high school, and then we have to make a
Also not
formal
in the
examination.
primary school.
Yes, yes. No, it is possible to study also in primary school, but typically students study only English in the primary school.
Okay, so I wondered, because, the reason that, Finnish people are so good, fluent in English, even though the language is very far from English families, could be because, children learn Swedish, and then Swedish is close to English, right? So there may be an influence from Swedish.
Yes, but nowadays the order is different, so that they start first studying English and only later on Swedish, much less. Earlier it was different, so that, for example, when I went to school, I started to study Swedish during this 5th school year, and then German later on, and then very end of my studies English a little bit.
フィンランドは4% とおっしゃってましたけれども、スウェーデン語を母語とする人たちがいて、大抵はいろんなサインもスウェーデン語でもの表記もあるんですね。英語とフィンランド語と英語とスウェーデン語の表記があって、でスウェーデン語は英語に非常に近いので、だからそのスウェーデン語を知ってるから英語もうまいのかなっていうふうに思ったんですけれど、実はそうではなくて、その昔はスウェーデン語を若い時からやってたけど、今はハイスクール以上なので、小学校とかでやる外国語はスウェーデン語ではなくて英語で、そのスウェーデン語を母語とする地域を除いて、ほとんどのフィンランドのほとんどの地域ではスウェーデン語は話されていないし、だからその影響はないだろうという。
So, okay, and then at the end I want to say that there's, not everything is going well in Finnish schools. There are also problems. And if you look at the very recent international comparisons, there is some decrease in average results of Finnish students. And then we could look it more carefully. It's not in general that it is particularly a problem of boys. Finnish girls still have very, very top results in when we compare with girls in other countries. For example, the very top countries in the PISA studies. But there's something, some problems with boys. And this has raised a serious discussion about the reasons for this alarming development. And now the question is this due to the changes in schools or changes in the society around the schools? And then if you look what has happened in the schools, there have been some minor changes in curriculum. A small part of the change of the mathematics can probably be explained with curriculum changes, so that there's more emphasis in other topics than in mathematics in some of the curriculum changes 10 years ago. But most of the explanation comes from the general changes in the society. And the first the explanation is that we have a kind of concept of lost generation. In the beginning of 1990s, Finland had a very deep economic regression, and it was related to the collapse of Soviet Union. So we had a lot of foreign trade with Soviet Union, and when Soviet Union collapsed, we lost almost 40% of our foreign trade in half a year, which means that this was a very, very dramatic dramatical situation. And then it caused a domestic bank crisis and many things. And this has had a very long-lasting effects. There was a very high unemployment rate, but then the country as such recovered very quickly from this regression, particularly based on the high-tech boom, so that in the field of electronics and also biotechnology, there was a very strong development, and it created a new situation where a big part of the society did very well. The salary of people was rising, and then on the same time we had a relatively high unemployment rate. So that the differences between winners and losers became very quick, kind of strong phenomenon in the country. And now it seems that it had a kind of cultural impact in the families where parents were unemployed. We already know the notion which we call inherited unemployment, so that parents were almost all the time when children were young, unemployed, and then when children started to live them as their own, they also became unemployed. So that they had lost the idea of getting a profession, going to the work markets, working life, and so on. And of course, if you think the cultural situation in this kind of families, there's no real kind of ideas of the value of education. Why? Because they had got this kind of attitude of getting some social support from the state and being unemployed, so that they lost in these minorities the kind of value of education. This is one explanation. Okay.
ここ書いてあることで1990年代初めに深刻な経済的なリセッションがあったっていうことだったんですけれど、それはソ連が崩壊したことによるんで、フィンランドお隣なので非常に多くの貿易をソ連との貿易に依存し、寄っていて、でそれが一気に半年でなくなったりして、非常に大きなリセッションになってしまい、でそのリセッションによってやっぱりフィンランドの今までの平等なっていうのが多少崩れてきて、やっぱりその敗者と勝者で、特にハイテクブームがやっぱりハイテクブームって教育ないとついていけない人たちたくさんいるし、でそういうことで、ウィナーとルーザーに分けてしまったっていうことで、そのルーザーファミリーの人たちっていうのが、なんかそのモチベーションを失ってしまったっていうようなことがあるんだと思います。I have a question. Is that because that those losers who really can't have a good job, they can be on social welfare, right? Because social welfare is that their attitude, of disvaluing education is that they can be, they can still live on social welfare without having a job. Yeah. はい、で今ちょっとお聞きしたのは、そういうルーザーの人たちがモチベーションをなくしたっていうのはどうしてかっていうと、やっぱりフィンランド高福祉国家なので、仕事なくても福祉で十分生活できるので、だからそのルーザーとなって、仕事十分なというか仕事に就けなくても食べていける。でそれを体験すると、じゃああんまり教育してもしょうがないよねみたいなそういうようなアティテュードに、一部の人はなっていったということ。
Yes. and for reasons we do not know, this seems to have only effect on boys, not on girls. And this.
で不思議なことにその影響が見られたのは男の子だけで、その女子にはその影響はなかったっていうことなので、ただその理由はわからないという。
Okay, and then one challenge is that there has been already a couple of decades very strong desire to develop also technology-based education, the use of ICT, and one starting point is for that digitalization has has resulted in huge productivity leap in society in general, and economy, in industry, in services, and so on. And then, particularly politicians and business people will expect that exactly the same should happen also in education, this strong productivity leap. There have been very high investment on ICT in Finnish schools during last 20 years. But for some reason, and of course this has been one of my own research topics, that what has happened with the educational technology, then there has not been so much pedagogical change, ICT-based pedagogical change, but much more modest change that policymakers and business people have expected from schools. And reason for that is particularly that teachers do not often see the added value of ICT use, and because also the evidence, the scientific evidence, is very mixed, so that they have right there that there is no clear evidence that ICT would directly improve the quality of education. And they have also themselves noticed that active use of digital devices and services is often even counterproductive for learning, particularly if we test the learning by using traditional tests. But this is because these approaches to use technology are not so well developed. Of course, the general question is that if we look what is the reason for this productivity leap in working life based on using ICT, it is because it has made it possible to so-called outsource the laborious parts of work to computers, so that people don't have to use so much time doing these tasks, but they can do something else. But outsourcing learning is not a good idea. So in the field of learning, we really have to do the hard work of learning ourselves in order to learn. We cannot outsource that. And so in general, in the current Finnish discussion, we have very strong emphasis that we have to develop, not only to recommend for schools that you have to use more and more ICT, but to very carefully focus on developing the use of ICT, which is based on scientific evidence, which are very well elaborated practices. We have some examples of that in our own group. We have based on some ICT tools for 20 years basic research about learning of mathematics, and there are many other examples as well.
.書いてある通りなんですけど、そのICT 教育、例えばそのタブレットを使ったりだったり、タブレットを使って学校に行ったりとか、そういうのをしようと思っていたんですけど、この過去20年間でそれがそれに効果があったかって言われたら、それはあまり効果が見られなかったっていうのが現実で、それでなんで変えられなかったかっていうのが、次のこの3つの次2つですね、 になってやっぱり先生もすごいとてもうなずいてたと思うんですけど、そのICT 教育で何かを勉強することっていうのはそのパソコンに何かをやらせることによって自分たちの時間を作るっていうのはその経済とかにおいては良かったんですけど、学習においてはその学習をするっていうプロセス、そこを学ぶところが一番重要なところであるっていうふうにもう教員たちもやっぱりもう教えてる時点で分かってしまったので、この ICT 教育っていうのがあまり有益ではなかったっていうふうに。
そうですね。だから、そもそもその学びっていうことはあんまり効率化っていうことを考えるべきではないっていうか、やっぱりそのプロセスを経て学ぶっていうことがすごく大事なので、そのビジネスにおいてはやっぱりアウトソーシング、やらなくて自分でやらなくて済むことは外注して、その自分でできること、自分の強みに特化しましょうよっていうことは非常にリーズナブルなことだけれども、でも、それはそこまでの積み重ねがある人がやればリーズナブルだけれども、やっぱりその学ぶ途上にある子どもがやっぱり算数できないけど自分では計算もできないけど、コンピューターがやってくれるから自分で計算できなくても OK みたいになっちゃうと、それは学びに結びつかないっていうか、そういうところはすごい大事で、やっぱりそのICT の先進国でもあるフィンランドからそういうお話が出たっていうことはとても大事なことなんじゃないかなと。でやっぱりでもう一つフィンランドの先生非常に高いクオリフィケーションを持っていて、本当プロフェッショナルの先生たちがもちろんだから ITC の使い方がわからないから使ってないっていうよりは、やっぱりITC を使ってみた上ででも自分が教えた方が使わずに教えた方がいいよねっていうチョイスがあって教えない場合が多いっていう、なんか ITC も場合によりけりだとは思うんですけれど、導入すればいいっていうわけではなくて、やっぱりそういう意味で何でもやっぱり思ったほどの対費用効果は得られなかったっていうことだと思う。So perhaps you can talk about your own invention, but maybe at the end, when you finished. Okay.
Okay, and one interesting thing which is also related to the technology is that this enormous kind of development taking place in children's life, so that the use of digital entertainment culture, communication culture, games and so on, of course it has resulted in many positive changes in society and can be also beneficial for learning, but it can also have negative side effects. For example, we already know the phenomenon of computer addicts, this kind of overuse of digital entertainment, games and also social media, particularly among young people. And we have some very recent studies which show that it can be also a problem for cognitive processes. For example, cause some kind of attention problems. This kind of very strong overuse of digital technologies. And teachers have reported that particularly boys seem to lose their persistence in demanding study tasks due to the digital environment cultures, and that when they have get used to play these very fast games where all the time is happening some new things, and then in schools where we have the slow process of studying some complex things where we have to work persistently, it doesn't work always. So that this is, this is area where we do not have enough convincing scientific evidence. Then one thing is that we have a very quick development taking place in Finnish cultures, and we have increasing number of immigrants. This is of course happening in all European Union countries nowadays. but in Finland it was a very recent phenomenon and is happening very quickly. And it seems that teachers, even though they have been very skillful in dealing with students from different social backgrounds, they are not so skillful in dealing with children from different cultural backgrounds. Then of course there is a challenge of language, so that many students, immigrant students, do not know language enough to participate in the teaching, so that a lot of resources has to be used for teaching the language first for them, but it also requires other type of development. This work is now going on. We have very systematic programs to help teachers to deal with culturally diverse classrooms, but of course it takes several years before we can have a strong impact on schools.
その子供たちフィンランドって家に固定電話がなくて、でそうなんかなんですみんなが携帯電話を持っているような感じになるんですね。小さい本当に小学生の子供とか幼稚園の子供とかでも個人で携帯電話を持っていたら、しかもそれもスマートフォンだったりを持っているので、結構もう幼少期の頃から最近の子たちはずっと携帯ばっかりいじってるなっていう印象は私にも伺えて、特にやっぱりそれはゲームとかやりたいお年頃の男の子に多いなと思っていて、やっぱりそれがちょっと影響を与えてるんじゃないかなっていうふうにおっしゃっていました。で、あと私もすごく気になるのがこの移民の子どもたちのところで、私が行ってたところは本当に田舎だったので、それでもやっぱりクラスに1人くらいは移民がいたりで、例えばなんかあれです、イスラム系の方だったりとかいろんな国々の方がいて、で先生がおっしゃったのは、そういう子どもたちもやっぱりフィンランドで生まれ育ってる場合もあるし、途中から来てる子もいるんですけど、フィンランドで生まれ育っていてフィンランド語が達者であったとしても、その親はやっぱりフィンランド人ではないので、そういう家庭的な背景が結構影響していて、でそれをやっぱり個人個人をいくら優秀な先生とはいえ、それをなんていううまく対応していくのはやっぱり難しいので、それが大きな課題になっているようです。
Then there was this international finance crisis, 2008, strong impact everywhere in the world. But in European countries, one of the consequences was that the countries started to reduce the size of the public sector. And that happens also in Finland. And one of the consequences was that there were relatively strong budget cuts in education. And this has particularly affected schools' opportunities to maintain this well-developed system of allocating teacher support individually, so according to the students' needs. But I think that now also this some kind of alarming or negative findings are very important, because during this 10-15 years period, when we only got very positive news from Finland, the Finnish policymakers didn't pay very much attention to the education. They made budget cuts. There was not so strong development anymore, because they were satisfied, okay, that the educational system is doing well. But of course, educational system only do well if we continuously develop it. And there was, but now what has happened is a kind of new awareness of the need to support the educational system and to return to this very systematic, evidence-based development of the model. So, thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so, you know, ごめんなさい、日本語で。やっぱりこうフィンランドの課題も 非常に多くのところ日本の課題と重なるところが多いと思うんですね。でやっぱそういうところからもたくさん学べるかなというふうに思います。でただ要約のところは今お話しされなかったよね。要約のところはお話しされてなかったんですけれども、要約1は大丈夫、でやっぱりすごく大事なところ、要約2のところってやっぱりこう意思決定の方法がすごい大事で、やっぱりフィンランド中でもお話ししましたけれどもやっぱり政治体制が変わったからといってその瞬時に教育効果が教育を変えないっていうか、やっぱりそれはどうしてかっていうと教育の効果っていうのがすぐに何かをしてすぐに現れるっていうことが現れるものではないっていうことをちゃんと政治家の方々も国民も分かっているっていうところだと思うんですね。一つ私やっぱり日本で思うのはやっぱりすごくあることをやってその評価が非常に短期すぎるっていうか、本当多分教育の効果って10年後ぐらいを見据えないと本当にその効果が良かったかどうかってわからないと思うんですね。でだけどなんか言われるのが6歳の時にやったら7歳でどうだったとかなんかすごく短期間でやったらすぐになんか記憶力が増加したとかなんかすぐそういう話になってしまうんですけれどももっと言うとなんかこの活動をやると直後に脳活動が高まったとかって言うんだけど、その直後に脳活動が高まることが10年後にどういうふうに影響を及ぼすかっていうようなそういうエビデンスに対しては全然研究がされていないわけですよね。やっぱりこういうフィンランドの姿勢っていうのは非常に私たちも国民として学んでいかなくてはいけないんじゃないかなというふうに思いました。で、先ほど先生が今回はフィンランドの教育について外観してくださいっていうことだったのであまりご自身の研究について含まれていなかったんですけれども一つやっぱりですね48ページ目言ってくれますかね。ITC に関してリネ先生はITC の効果のそういう教育環境を作る実はだから ITC の効果があんまりなかったっていうふうにおっしゃってたんですけれどもその ITC のどういうふうな利用したら意味があるのかっていうような、そういう専門家でもあって結局だからITC もただ使えばいいっていうものではなくてただ使っただけでは対費用効果はないけれどもきちんと学術的な学習科学の知見に、ベースを置いて、開発したものだと非常に高い効果が得られるということで So I told them about your own inventation of ITC curriculum and so maybe you could talk about it for the rest of the time in 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, just one example how we have tried to deal with some very challenging learning tasks. If you look what kind of mathematical knowledge people need in society, there is clear evidence that people need much more kind of flexible mathematical skills than schools typically produce, and also skills which are adaptive so that they can use them in a very different situations. And this has been highlighted in many curricula in Western and Asian countries. This kind of flexible mathematical skills, but there is almost no good strategies to teach them. For example, in some European countries, they have introduced strategies to teach mathematics teaching, where they teach a special kind of strategies and help them to select which strategies is always the best one. Okay, this is helpful, but this doesn't lead to this kind of flexible skills, which was the aim of this strategy. And we have tried to systematically think about that issue, that how it is possible to develop this kind of flexibility. And our conclusion, based on the basic research, was that it's not only about knowing some alternative strategies, but it is about the whole structure of mathematical knowledge. When we think about arithmetic, the first step of knowledge, it means that what students need is the rich mental networks of connections of numbers and operations. And this is something which requires a totally new educational approach and a lot of practice. But not this kind of mechanical practice, which is typical for traditional practice training in mathematics. But we have learned from expertise research that what leads to this kind of high-level mental models is so-called deliberate practice. Practice with all the time all the time focusing on doing something better and finding new aspects. And now we notice that this kind of things is very difficult to develop in regular classroom teaching. Maybe you can now translate this, and then I go to the game which we developed for that.
例えばその算数一つ教えるにしても例えばその計算のやり方だとかその式の伝え方だとかそういうところを教えることはできるんですけど、それを例えば応用させるだとか、あるいは別々違ったいろんな状況に合わせてそのスキルを伝うっていうところまで踏み込むことが今の教育だととても難しくて、でそれを戦略的にというかそれを教えるための戦略を決定するのが、算数というか算数を教える上での一番課題でもあって、で例えば先生の周りではそういういくつかのその算数を教えるための戦略だとか方法論があった時にどれを選択するのが一番良いのかだとかっていうところをずっと研究されているということで、その上での一番の目的というかゴールっていうものがその算数1個取った時にその応用力だとかそのフレキシビリティっていうものをどうやって教えられるかっていうところを目的としています。それっていうのは例えば例えばじゃあこういう問題に直面したらこういうオプションを使うだとか、そういう他の可能性を発見するだとか他の可能性を思いつくっていうそのオルタナティブを見つけるっていうところではなくて、その算数っていうその分野全体の構造自体を理解するっていうそういうところをどうやったら教えられるかなっていうところに注目してやっています。そうですね、その全体性をどうやって教えるかっていうところとっていうのは時間がかかるっていうことと練習っていうものがすごい大事になるというところでそんな感じ。
Yes. Okay, and then so as we noticed that it's very difficult to organize this kind of exercise, this kind of deliberate practice in a regular classroom, we developed game-based environments. This is one example, the number navigation game for natural numbers of this kind of environment, where the idea is that students are not solving given arithmetic problems, but there are other type of problems and they have to create themselves arithmetic solutions to reach the targets. And I can quickly show so that this is now the final version of the game. We started with simple the game mechanism and tested it very carefully with big samples that it really leads to this kind of thinking we aimed at. And then we noticed that students were not very motivated because it was boring for them. And now we made a new game version which has more this kind of game elements. And here the idea, I go first to the the game mechanism. There are archipelagos, and there's a harbor where is a ship, and then in the archipelago there are different materials, and they need the materials to building a city. I will show the city later on, because this is then the one part of the game story, not the mathematical story. But now they have to navigate the ship from number 43 to the first material is in number 7, and there are different modes. The easy mode is that they just have to make it so small steps as possible, so that here they could go from 43 to 3 and then to 7 and then back. But the more interesting mode is the so-called energy mode. They have to do that by using so little energy as possible, which means that this is computing together the numbers the user put here in the input box. Because we navigate here with mathematical arithmetic operations, and if we now make 43 minus 40 and go to 3, we'll lose a lot of energy, 40 points energy. How we can lose much less energy? Okay, one example, for example, here is that they find the strategy that, okay, first I subtract 1, the ship goes to 43, then I divide by 2, ship goes to 21, then I divide by 3, and the ship went to 7, and then they can return back. But this was still a simple one, but then it becomes more and more complex, and then there are on the same time more materials on the same time, so that they have to optimize and look very many options and compare them. We have calculated that during the 10 weeks period when they play through the whole game, they have to mentally solve and combine more than 10,000 operations, and in order to all the time find better connections of numbers which solve this particular task they are doing. This is now an example that how we can introduce basically an interesting process in the classroom in which students get a huge amount of practice, where they all the time have to push their understanding and they kind of numerical representation further. We have the similar games for rational numbers, so fractions and decimals, percentages as well, and we have got very, very promising empirical findings with this.
ゲームのルールは見た通りなんですけど、その教室の中で、先生デリバリートプラクティスという言葉を使ってて、今井さん探究トレーニングという言葉を使ってそれを翻訳されてるんですけど、そのどうやって意識的にその反復練習を教室の中で促すかっていうところで、こういったある程度複雑なルールのある言語を使うことでその もちろんそのただ計算を繰り返すというところに合わせてその全体的な構造をどうやって単数の構造を理解できるかというところを促しているということです。で、このゲーム応用編であって例えばこの今指則演算だけなんですけど例えばこれを分数でやったりだとかあるいはちょっとした有理数無理数でやってみたりというところがそのレベルアップであるということです。
First we had just these maps and they got some points and so on, and they learned a lot, but it was boring for the students and they were not motivated, and then we were thinking that in order to get the more stronger effect we have to make it game type, and now I can show that why they have to select the materials. They need it for building a city, and this is a kind of city where they can build houses by using the materials, and they can select different house types and build them. Okay, now I didn't have enough material, so that I should go back to the maps and solve all these maps in order to get these materials which I need to build this windmill and shipyard and harbor and so on. Now it seems that this game-like story helps particularly those boys who have get used to play entertainment games outside the school and have problems to concentrate in demanding mathematical tasks. Okay.
なんでさっきの数字がいっぱい並んでたゲームもちろんそれ自体面白いというかもちろん反復練習をすることができるんですけどただそれだけだと、いずれ飽きが来てしまうということでじゃあどうしたらもうちょっとより継続的にできるかというところでじゃあもうちょっと大きな目的を作ってあげるだとかストーリー性をつけてあげるということでじゃあなんで船を使ってその素材を集めてるかっていうと最終的な目的としてこういう街を作りたいっていうので例えばその風車を作るだとかいろんな家を作るっていうのに関してこの素材とこの素材とこの素材が必要だからじゃあ素材が足りないからまたさっきのゲームに戻って素材を集めに行こうという一つのモチベーションの設計ができるということでそのストーリーと合わせてこういうゲームが出来上がっているということです。
はい、ではもうちょっと時間にもなりましたのでもう先生がおっしゃったこと本当に大事だと思うんですね。なんていうか、よくある ICT もなんていうかやっぱり教科書で読んで済むものをただそのタブレットに移行したからといって、そんなどれだけ意味があるのかなっていうのは私もずっと思っていたんですけれどもやっぱりすごく開発する人がやっぱりその目的は大きな目的は何なのかっていうことをやっぱり分かった上でそのゴールに向かって ICT 開発していただきたいと思うんですね。でその時のゴールっていうのは先生もおっしゃっていましたようにただ機械的なその指則演算を練習するとかっていうことではなくてやっぱりその算数数学の目的ってやっぱりその全部のストラクチャーがわからないと自由に使えないんだっていうところでそれって算数に限らないと思うんですね。理科でもそうですし英語も、言語はそうですよね。やっぱり言語もその部分的にこの単語の意味はとかこの文法はっていうことを知っただけでは自由な、作文例えば英語だったら英作文とかってできなくてやっぱり学習しながら英語の構造の全容みたいなものを感覚的に掴んでいかないと英語で最終的に話したり書いたりすることってすごい難しいと思うんですね。だからそういうことを目指すそういうことの援助になるような ICT をぜひこれから開発する方は開発していっていただきたいなというふうに個人的にもお話を伺いながら思っていました。今35分ちょっと過ぎたぐらいですかね。今から4時 4時までブレイクタイムになります。で皆さんレヒネン先生にいろいろとフィンランドの教育あるいはさまざまなことご質問あると思うんですけれども、ディスカッションタイムをとってありまして、で、その時に皆さんでシェアしていただいて、どんなことを一番聞きたいかっていうようなこともお互いに話し合っていただいて、その後でご質問をしていただければというふうに思うので、今とりあえずお茶コーヒー用意してありますのでお休みください。じゃあありがとうございました。